Hi, this is Kevin Baumer, CML Deputy Director, and welcome to the February 28th edition of the CML Statehouse Report. We're a day early today, but we're going to talk about everything that is still current, and by the time we get to Monday, we will be exactly halfway through the legislative session. That does not mean we're halfway done, though, because there will be a lot more going on in the second half of the session, a lot of big issues still to come. I'm going to talk about a few issues of mine today, and the first is employment-related issues. House Bill 1210 has been introduced since the last time we talked on the Statehouse Report video. The legislation is related to local control of minimum wage, which the League is supporting. I want to refer you to the Legislative Matters blog that was just posted today. You can find that on CML's website or at legislativematters.wordpress.com. Either way will get you to it. And it explains some of the history and why the League is supporting the legislation. But let me summarize like this. The legislation would give affirmative authority to local governments to exceed the state minimum wage established in the Constitution, which is $11.10 per hour now and will be on January 1st, 2020, $12 an hour. The reason the League is supporting the bill, however, has nothing to do with whether or not we believe that is an adequate minimum wage or not, but rather if there is going to be a local minimum wage set, the legislation creates the proper mechanism for that to occur locally by ordinance at the local level within the jurisdiction that is adopting the ordinance. And we're going to be working with the proponents on being able to form regional intergovernmental agreements, etc. But this is the League's support is purely on a matter of local control. Local officials will have to discuss with business owners and citizens and others about whether or not exceeding the state constitutional minimum wage is appropriate for their communities. So that's House Bill 1210. It's going to be heard in House Transportation and Local Government Committee on March 6th, so that will be a very busy day. Legislation that has not been introduced yet that I've talked about previously is family medical leave insurance that we expect to be introduced in a couple of weeks. That legislation would provide wage replacement for folks going out on family leave. It is intended to run concurrently with FMLA or be consistent with FMLA at the federal level, but there are a lot of problems with the drafts that we've seen and a lot of inconsistencies. We are continuing, along with the business community, to submit issues to the sponsors of the bill, and hopefully we'll be able to work out some of those issues. If not, I expect the League will be opposed to the legislation, but hope springs eternal. We're going to try and work it out before it gets introduced. Moving to sales tax, things have slowed down quite a bit with two previous bills, Senate Bill 130 and 131 being defeated, and the only other bill, Senate Bill 6, which I've talked about a lot, is sitting in House Appropriations waiting for its next move. We do know that there will be new legislation dealing with sales tax, primarily around the de minimis establishing a de minimis standard for businesses for which they would only have to remit state sales tax and not sales tax to statutory entities based on destination as per the existing state rule that goes into effect on June 1st. That de minimis is something that we've supported, would not impact home rule municipalities in any way, but the way that the legislation that we expect to come in within the next couple of weeks may be drafted, there may be some action that home rule municipalities will have to take. More to come on that. CML will be putting together a meeting of our CML Sales Tax Simplification Committee to talk about the legislation and any other ideas. One last thing, just because I haven't mentioned it for a while, lemonade stands. That bill was successfully amended, Senate Bill 103, in the Senate, to which the League has dropped its opposition. It will be heard in the House here in the days ahead, but the legislation was amended successfully to really narrow in just on the business licensing issue and ensure that there were no unintended consequences. But if you've not looked at the amended version of Senate Bill 103, you may want to.
Hello, this is Morgan Cullen with CML. Last week of February and a busy week down at the Colorado State Legislature. On Monday, the House Energy and Environment Committee heard House Bill 1143. That's the infamous straws upon request bill that CML was actually opposed unless amended. We didn't have a problem with straws upon request if that was what the General Assembly wanted as a statewide baseline standard for treating plastic straws across the state. However, there was a local government preemption inside the bill that we wanted to see removed. We were able to get that piece of the bill, the preemption piece, removed from the legislation during committee, which ultimately resulted in the Colorado Restaurant Association deciding that they didn't want to pursue the legislation anymore. They were the proponents of the bill, and the bill sponsor ended up deciding to PI or postpone indefinitely her own bill. So that bill has now died, but that leaves open an opportunity for the broader discussion regarding the current statutory preemption on local prohibitions of plastic products, which CML would like to see removed during the 2019 session. On Tuesday, House Bill 1084, that's our urban renewal, CML-initiated urban renewal bill, passed, and we were able to get that on consent calendar in the Senate, and it's fast-tracked now towards passage. So that's a bill that we no longer, I think, have to worry about. The bill will go down to the first floor and will be signed by the governor. We expect that it will be signed by the governor. On yesterday, House Bill 1157, that's the SOT tax, the specific ownership tax bill that would adjust the rates on the specific ownership tax. CML has been very opposed to that bill because the specific ownership tax is a property tax, or I'm sorry, a tax in lieu of a property tax, and all of that money goes back to local governments to help fund their general funds. And this would change it more into a fee structure to help fund transportation, not only at the local level but also at the state level. So we've had some issues with that. That bill actually got laid over, so we'll be hearing it again at a later date. My suspicion is, though, that they saw the amount of opposition. CML was able to get all of the other local taxing entities that would have been impacted by this bill on board into the opposed position. So we'll be hearing that bill at a later date, and we will be keeping a close eye on it going forward. And then finally, just kind of looking ahead, I think we will see some e-scooter legislation here shortly. No bill has been introduced, but the e-scooter industry wants to be able to regulate e-scooters like bikes or e-bikes. And we don't have a problem with that, but if we are going to give them that level of legitimacy, we want to make sure that there is expressed authority in statute for local governments to be able to properly regulate those vehicles at the local level. So be keeping an eye on that, and I'll be updating you further as actual legislation is introduced.
Hi, this is Megan Dollar, Legislative and Policy Advocate with the Colorado Municipal League. I'm going to talk about a few pieces of legislation CML is following right now within the criminal justice and environmental realm. The first one I want to talk about is is House Bill 1096. That was the Colorado Right to Rest Act. This is the 5th year that we've been dealing with this piece of legislation. As predicted and as promised by the sponsor, that bill was postponed indefinitely in committee on Tuesday without a hearing. The proponents of the bill are focusing on the ballot initiative in Denver. Another piece of legislation that I want to talk about has been introduced recently. It is House Bill 1204. What this bill does is prohibit camping in environmentally sensitive areas. Those are usually, per the bill, those can be identified by the local government. The bill also requires that local public health agencies do an environmental impact study on that piece of land as well, and update it periodically. The real concern that CML has with the bill right now is that it allows those local public agencies to approach the necessary local government and apply to use their conservation trust fund money in order to do these environmental impact studies. CML has some concerns with that, given one, that the environmental impact study in the bill is an unfunded mandate on those local public health agencies, as well as the fact that conservation trust funds are already spoken for by municipalities and should really be just used for parks and recreation and open space management. So with that, we will likely be opposing it next week when it is in committee. Finally, CML is waiting for potentially a few more criminal justice reform bills. I'm not sure what they will entail just yet, but we do expect bills that could impact municipal courts being introduced in the next few weeks. More to come on that, though.
Hi, this is Brandy DeLange with the Colorado Municipal League. I've been very busy this week preparing for next week, which is assured to be incredibly busy, a whirlwind, if you will. So a couple of things I want to flag for folks. Next week we will see approximately 4 bills that we've been tracking in committee where we will be testifying either in support or in opposition. In particular, we'll be looking at the water quality bill that looks at mining impacts, the plumbing bill that we've been so actively involved in, the electrical inspection bill that we've been working with proponents on, trying to find appropriate fee levels on. And then of course the last bill that we've been working on is the farm stand bill that we went over last week. We'll be meeting with the bill sponsor actually tomorrow to discuss some of our concerns about local government land use preemption. I think the other thing that we would flag is the big bill that we know is coming, which is our oil and gas bill that CML has been so actively trying to have conversations with bill sponsors and bill drafters on. We expect that there will be a press conference today at 1 p.m. and then a close followed introduction date probably in the next couple of days. So next week we'll be incredibly busy. We'll be working on a lot of different things in a lot of different committees, and we'll keep you informed of all of those things that are changing.
So that's it for this week. We'll be back on schedule next week and with Friday Statehouse Report, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.